What is up, everybody? Good to see everybody in the house here today. It is, of course, Andrew Esquire. Welcome to the Legal Mindset. We teach you to be your own judge. It is a late night here in Asia. It is, in fact, 2:49 a.m. We are actually live. This is not a pre-record. And I had to do this because there's several updates in this Disney case that are going on, and also several factors that I just had to cover right now because it is so gloriously bad. But it all centers around the litigation, and all centers around the development, and all centers around things they're doing wrong. So I absolutely had to come here and put this all together. I know a lot of other channels aren't going to cover this, going to comment on it, but very few are thinking about it in light of the litigation and exactly why, despite saying, hey, we're going to invest all this money, no one is believing it. No one is snorting the pixie dust. Investors are not putting their money where the mouth is, and they're not going and saying, hey, Disney, this is a redemption arc. They're, in fact, rejecting Disney, and it looks like this is a giant bear trend for Disney, a giant cycle downward as the company spirals into oblivion. But it's good to see everybody here in the chat today. Already almost have 100 of you for an unannounced stream that is definitely not at my normal time. So that is very, very helpful. If you guys could smash the like button, that would really help it out there. And we are on Rumble. And what's up to the Rumble people? JCVM, good to see you over there. And we are on Locals. Ron Crossman saying, I'm loving these premieres. And I'm me saying he can fuck off. So, you know, it's great. Good to see everybody here in the chat, though. All the members, Andrew F., Ona Wall, Danielle, Lauren S., R. Johns, Mike L., JJ, Octavia, Reply by Mail, Benjamin Turkoff, Rose D., Sleazy, John Ciplioni, Not K, who I got to give a shout out to Not K for getting the briefing schedule, which we will talk about quickly for the case, because that is an update in the case. But good to see everybody here. Also, Stephen Gosney, who I'm going to make into a moderator somehow, some way. It's going to happen. But I'm gonna mod the Gaz. I think I modded the wrong Gaz. I don't know. There's a lot of Steve Gosneys out there. Wait, no, he is moderated. So yeah, we're good. It just wasn't showing up in StreamYard. But anyways, good to see everybody here up in the chat. So let's run right into it and jump right into it with, well, let's start with TikTok, right? So I want to play this TikTok of this guy at Paris. He's at Disneyland Paris, and he went to Disneyland Paris with his family. And he's going over how much he spent there. Now, this is going to be really relevant. I want to start with this, and then we're going to come back to it. But let's just start with this one. This just went viral, and there's a reason. This all links together. So there's a reason why this guy's TikTok is going viral at the same time that Disney is losing money. So let's listen up to what this dude has to say about Disney and his experience at Disneyland Paris. Listen up, guys.
I made a huge mistake. I went to Disneyland in Paris. I'm almost embarrassed at how much money I spent. Just the tickets alone, that's 1,100 euros. For Americans, that's 1,200 bucks. For Canadians, that's $1,600. Why the hell would I do that? The regular tickets were 112, and then we upgraded and got the premier passes for 160 euros per person.
Amateur move.
Now, why the hell did I do it? I did it because of this, the lineups. That's why I paid all the money. It is crazy how overflowing Disney is. It doesn't matter if it's in Paris, if it's in Orlando, or if it's in California. It is like this all the time. This is a crappy ride. This isn't an exciting ride at all. It's these kind of miniature cars that you stay on track. You're not really accelerating. You kind of are, but it's nothing great. It's nothing spectacular. An hour and 15 minutes. We skipped the lineup. This ride's called It's a Small World. It's basically the song, and it's just this long musical, and it's pretty cool. You go through this journey, and this was over an hour wait. I think it was an hour and a half. Now, if you total up all the rides that we did, when we did all of the rides, we would have been waiting in line for over 25 hours. 25 hours. in line. I think the math works out that you're better off buying the Disney Access Pass to bypass the line than you are to buy a 3-day park stay. Because if you buy the 3-day park stay and you don't upgrade, you're basically waiting in line. We were there from the beginning to the end, and we didn't even do all the rides. And even still, it was 25 hours. The crowds are just endless. My advice, don't go to Disney. If it's your kid's lifelong dream, if it's yours, fine, go do it. But get the line by.
Okay, so he was talking about the length of the lines and the costs, right? And really the issue here is the costs are staggering. The dude spent, $1,200 for tickets, and then on top of that, he had to turn around and pay for extra just to get the premier pass to get by. Absolutely nuts. And that's not even getting into the food, right? That's not getting into the souvenirs or anything else, right? So you're getting into that. You're spending $1,000 on food. And by the way, I'm not just making that number up. I'm actually getting that number from here, which talks about the average numbers, and it's about the cost of food can run between $200 to $300 a day for a family of 4. I would say it can go even higher. But in 3 to 4 days, it transfers into nearly $1,000 spent on food. Boom. So there you go. You see also souvenirs. $69 for a costume of Bruno from Encanto, right? You've got a bunch of other knickknacks and bullshit that they're going to end up buying in addition to the cost of the tickets. So this little trip can turn out to be something that costs a lot of money. They cost a ton of money. By the way, speaking of a ton of money, or rather not a ton of money, but a ton of difference, I want to give a big shout out to my members. I really appreciate you, and especially to 2 based Chad and Stacy's. We got here Rose. Actually, these are both Stacy's. Rose D, who's a new member who gives 5 gift memberships, and Lele, who also give out 5 gift memberships. Thanks so much. Make sure you guys have that dinged on. Make sure you have it dinged to accept the gift memberships so we can have a sea of green, a sea of based in the chat. It is, it's perfection. It's absolute perfection to see that. But thank you so much for gifting those memberships. Really helps out the channel and helps us provide more. So we're going to have more emojis, more cool stuff, all the great stuff out here on this channel. So thank you so much, guys, for those gifts. All right, so what are we talking about today with Disney? So what I wanted to do was Disney has announced, and we're going to get into the nitty-gritty here. They've announced they're going to expand investment and double capital over 10 years. So they're going to spend roughly, allegedly, right? They're promising in an Amber Heard type promise way to spend $60 billion on their parks over 10 years. And mind you, this is a plan. This is not a commitment. This is a plan. They're planning to invest $60 billion over 10 years. So they announced that, and they said they're going to spread that money over all of their properties. So specifically, they talk about previously doing additions to California Adventureland, Galaxy's Edge, Hollywood Studios, Adventure Campus, Walt Disney World Park in Paris. But when they look at the future, they're really talking about Asia. They're really talking about other areas of the world. They're talking about bringing things to Shanghai Disney. So that's one of the biggest things they really want to focus on is expanding their Asian properties, expanding Shanghai Disney, as well as expanding their Hong Kong Disneyland and other areas that are outside of the United States. So a lot of that expansion that they want to target is going to be outside of the United States. And we're going to get into that when we jump right into the 8K, when we jump into the actual SEC filing. They claim that they have over 1,000 acres of land for possible future development. Well, guys, guess what? Guess what? Most of those acres of land are in Florida. And this is where the rubber hits the road. When these guys brag about development, right? When these guys brag about development, this development is going to be stopped by the litigation in Florida. So the litigation they've still got going on with the CFTOD, with DeSantis, that's going to prevent them from going ahead on any of these plans. And that's what nobody is seeing. Like a lot of the big brained outlets like Barron's over here, which published Disney to nearly double investments in the park, the stock is falling. It doesn't understand. They don't get it why they're tanking. They just simply don't understand. And JL says for 2, why would you expand to a communist country? Tards. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So you're going to keep putting money into something that, number one, you don't own, you lease it. And actually, it's not even you leasing it. It's a Chinese company leasing it, and you're getting the revenues from that. So you're putting money into that. And at the first sign of conflict, right? So in the next 10 years, you are betting that there will not be a conflict between the U.S. and China, or not be any sort of crisis between the U.S. and China. I would not make that bet. I would not make that bet. There's going to be nothing there that would cause them to mess with your income stream, to block your income stream, to maybe take away your park, to confiscate your IP or steal your IP. That's a hell of a bet. It is a hell of a bet. So that's one thing that I just think these people are not getting. They're not seeing that. And right here, you can even see here, Disney stock flashing bear signal amid streaming buzz. So they're looking at the chart for Disney, and this chart looks abysmal. Now, listen, this is not hashtag financial advice. Mind you, it's not hashtag legal advice, medical advice, romantic advice, or any other type of advice. But this doesn't look good for me. I'm not a professional. I don't know much about finances and stuff, but this doesn't look good. This trend here does not look good for Disney. Brandon, member for 5 months, says change the damn playback speed setting. I have to look into that, Brandon. I've never messed with the setting, so let's go 1.5x. Go 1.5x. Is Jonas in the chat? Oh, if Jonas is in the chat, let me send you a little link here in case you want to join Jonas. Since you've been a cool homeboy on the channel. So I'll send you a little link if you want to pop in here. So this is really crazy. So Disney has attracted plenty of investor attention lately amid the entertainment giant's potential sale of ABC. The company also recently settled its cable dispute, returning ESPN and other channels to Spectrum. Now, this was a big deal, but really you see the death of ESPN as a platform kind of written on a wall, especially as a streaming platform, a separate streaming platform. So I think that it was really going to be a lose-lose for both of these folks in the long run, for both Spectrum and ESPN Plus. But that being said, this is where they go here. They go television streaming, and the future of it is a hot topic among analysts. And Raymond James has joined the discourse. The firm initiated coverage of DIS with an outperform rating, saying the company's strong asset portfolio will help support a steady push towards streaming. Well, to me, this is ridiculous. They're already streaming, and their streaming platform is failing. It's not making any money. They already have a streaming platform available, and it just doesn't make any sense to me. But perhaps I'm not looking at this right, and perhaps I could use the eye of a good friend, my friend Jonas Jay Campbell. Jonas, how's it going?
Hey, doing pretty good. How you doing?
Good. I am up very late at night because I saw all this tomfoolery.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
With the investment, and I said, you know what, I've got to talk about this, because even as we speak, actually, I posted on Twitter a little bit when it was $82, but now we're at $81.95. This is an active ticker here. We're at negative 3.6. So we are definitely in a retracement here. I think we were testing a high, they're testing a high, did not break out of this funk. So now we're headed lower, right? I think there was a temporary blip there.
I can't understand here what if investors are reading through the Josh DeMaio, we'll say smoke screen because I'd like to keep it clean. But there's a lot of baloney in that $60 billion figure. First of all, it includes cruise ships, which is where they're going to be spending a lot of money. This is all focused on the language that they used was things that will make them the most money. They didn't say those exact words, but that's not actually the theme parks. That's the hotels and the timeshare.
Well, Jonas, have you seen what they actually filed with the SEC?
Yes, I did. Actually, I got a video coming out in about 25 minutes.
Okay. Well, I don't want to spoil you because I'm literally pulling it up right now because this to me blew my mind, right? So you can save some special sauce for your video. I don't mean to drag you into it, but I just have to comment on it because to me, especially, mind you, and this is the most important thing. So mind you, this is their Form 8K, which is filed right now, September 19th. This is hot off the presses, right? Which is why we're all covering it. And Jonas, I'm sure WW Pro, Valiant, everyone's going to be on this like a knife on butter.
They deserve it. They deserve it.
Yeah. But they absolutely do deserve this. They deserve all of us ragging on them. But this is coming out right now in light of, and we have to think about it, and I'll remind you guys, a schedule whereby we're going to get in the next month or two massive rulings in the cases against Disney in Florida. Specifically, if you look at the scheduling, the order regarding scheduling, which was put out recently, and shout out to Not K on Twitter who capped this, and then I recropped it, which is they have a schedule now which is agreed upon by the court to respond to this amended complaint because Disney removed all but one of their claims in federal court. So the defendants, i.e. DeSantis, the board, they're going to respond by September 28th. Then Disney's going to get to reply back. Then there's going to be all final motions have to be locked in by October 30th. But at that point, we're going to get a ruling. So within a month and a half or so of now, we're going to get some action in the federal case. So this is something I am really looking forward to, but I also think Disney is not looking forward to, because if it goes badly, it's going to look bad for all their plans for development, right? A lot of these plans, to the extent they're in Florida, they're going to be hampered. They're going to be hamstrung.
Agreed. And most of it's DVC anyways.
Yes. So let's just, I'm going to go through this very quickly and show you. And just to me, I had to stream because this blew my mind, and how much this is fugazi, how much this is up in the air, how much this is just absolutely nebulous bullshit. So check this out. Disney filed this, of course, as an SEC filing. So, they're saying, okay, we've got a major update. We've got something we need to talk about. And that's our plans. So what are their plans? What are Disney's plans? Well, all this is kind of a long-winded securities disclosure. I'm not going to go through this, but pretty much says, hey, this is just a plan. It may actually change. It may differ materially from what is actually implemented. So it's kind of saying, look, we're giving you a forward-looking statement. We're giving you a prediction, but we can cancel it at any time, and we have no obligation to update this or to actually go through with this. So the first thing they bring up in this is this claim of strong historical results.
Mm-hmm.
So this claim of parks and experiences hitting record revenue here. Well, and of course, adding a gap, and they add a significant gap here for COVID, right? Because obviously COVID is a gap. So I believe this is all of the revenue from all parks around the world. So they're adding in revenue from parks that are newly opened, segments that are newly opened, and they're also not controlling, this is a big one, none of this is controlled for inflation.
Yep, that's very true.
So if you really look at this and you look at inflation, particularly on a global basis, and you deflated these numbers, right? If you took 28.7 and you deflated that, this is $1 billion, and deflated that, I'm pretty sure you'd be at least at equal, if not less, than 2019, right? So that's my big thing with all of this is if you actually level this out, you factor for inflation, there's no way that they're making that much more. Did you have any thoughts about that? And of course, one of the other things is that they're charging more.
Yes.
So in addition to inflation, they're just pure charging more. So they're turning the screws on their existing customers.
Right. The big secret here is in that those two dashes right there. That's when Bob Chapek ran his experiment to max out the price elasticity on Disney parks and experiences. I mean, the amount of revenue they made on those parks, Bob Chapek gave them a gift. He maximized revenue for the parks, and now they're trying very desperately to stay there. So,
Ron Crossman for $1 on local says it's like a pledge, so it's just as good as cash, right? Yes, it's just as good as cash. It's totally good. Take it to the bank. Absolutely. Speaking of taking it to the bank, guys, if you can help me out, we have 400 people in here right now, 422. If you could smash the like button, smash the pussy if you're over there on Rumble, or the like button on locals. Appreciate y'all. Share this out. Hope to get as many good people out here as possible on all streams and all platforms. So really appreciate you having there. And also give a big thanks to Jonas and go check out his channel.
Oh, yeah.
Jonas Jay Campbell.
New channel, actually. That Park Place is where the next video is going to be.
That Park Place. Check out That Park Place. Natasha says, another premiere. Ugh, yes. It's such a premiere that you can use the live emoji in the chat. And I may or may not highlight it. So appreciate that, Natasha. Appreciate that. Kiss My Grits says legal. If future expansion plans in WDW on available land are hindered because of lawsuits, what about modifications within the existing parts, i.e. Dino Land at AK? Would CTFD likely deny all permits? They would not deny them. I actually don't think they're going to deny them. They're just going to be paying more for them. They're going to be paying impact fees. They're going to be paying things that they weren't paying before under the old regime. So they're going to be kicking in a lot more, and it won't just be funneled back right into Disney. It won't just be that sort of slosh bucket where it ends up back in Disney's hands because, oh, wait, we're paying for these Disney employee passes that we shouldn't be giving out anyways. That's not going to be happening. So I think that they would allow it. I really do think they permit it. They're just going to be doing inspections. They're going to be charging them, right? They're going to be making them actually pay for things, making them do it right, making them maintain it to the same standards as they're built. So there's a lot of things that are going to be out there. I think they'll ultimately approve it, but the problem is Disney has to accept the fact that the district is going to be the one to grant those approvals, not Disney. Disney wants to be able to do it without any approval from anyone, and that simply is over. They're going to have to go through a process, and the process may take time. When you go to get a permit from a city or county, that can take a long time. I mean, Jonas, have you ever tried to like improve your garage or like add a bedroom on or anything like that?
I mean, even the HOA is a nightmare. I can't even imagine what the actual government is like.
Yeah. And by the way, Andrew, I want to get this one. There's an Andrew in the chat, Andrew Taylor, and I want to bring up this point. Andrew misses the obvious. Any permitting is suspended until the issue of whose permit is resolved by the Florida court. That's what I've been saying, bro. That's what I've been saying this entire time. Yes, we have to settle the lawsuit first. Obviously, that's the point here, right? What? So the point is that the lawsuits have to be settled before everything goes on. That's what I've been saying from the beginning. That's why I've been saying like from Jump Street. Now, I'm jumping ahead because I'm presuming that we're going to have a verdict in favor of the CFTOD. I'm putting my money on that. Look, at this point, I've quadrupled down on that the CFTOD is going to take the W here in the long run. So, you know, I'm gonna be on that. But once that is settled,
hasn't Disney already pretty much stated in their lawsuit that the CFTOD replaced the RDIC, and therefore they're establishing that they recognize the CFTOD?
Yeah, I guess, right? I mean, they've been playing. I mean, Jonas, they've been playing this like weird game where like they acknowledge something but they don't at the same time, right? Mm-hmm. It's like we are Reedy Creek, but we're also not, right? You know, it's like they've been doing this game the entire time, and it's really weird. They'll argue one thing in federal court and a different thing in state court. Mm-hmm. So I think Disney is like okay with this like weird cognitive dissonance or just frankly straight up lying. I mean, I think they're pretty comfortable with that.
Well, I would never say that this presentation that they gave was straight up lying. I would never use those exact words. because that
No,
would open me up to
but
liability. But
no, but what we might say is it might be a little bit of Hollywood accounting that has made its way over to parks and experiences and products. A little bit of Hollywood accounting.
I think that's a
bit.
good way to put it.
Yeah. Yeah. So Brandon says the super chats are broken. That's weird.
Oh yeah, they disappeared.
Yeah. Well, PayPal's always an option, Brandon. I'll get you for that.
Did you just get demonetized?
Did I get demonetized? Let me just look real quick. Did I get demonetized? Let me check. No, monetization looks like it's still on.
Steve Gosney for $2 says my super chat works, Brandon.
Yeah, my super chat works. So there we go. Thank you, Steve. Great Florida Man stream the other day with Steve. That was really fantastic. So
appreciate that, Steve. He's cool.
Yes, he's very cool. Very Floridian. No, I'm not demonetized. I'm not Russell Brand, but that's a whole separate episode, a whole separate segment. Okay, so next, here we go. Strong historical results. Oh, Brandon, historical result of $2 for test. Tests, we're good. We're solid. So we're in with 2. Saying parks and experiences is making historic profit here, is making historic money. Once again, are we controlled for inflation here? Don't think so. Not really believing the operating income here either.
2017 to LTM. Yeah, I think that's a reasonable increase according to how much growth there's been in the economy.
Sure. So like tracking the economic growth, not necessarily tracking Disney's growth, right? So it's not so much a historical result as just an economic growth in the economy. That's what I'm trying to say. So it's just like the natural factors that they're trying to make it look like this is specific to Disney and they've been doing such a great job versus, hey, this is pretty typical for any business in the sector, right? So if you took a comparable business such as Universal or Legoland or whatever else, you might see comparable increases in revenue.
Oh, I think you'd see a much bigger increase for Universal though.
Right. Much bigger by percentage.
Yes.
Leprechaun Gold with a $50 super sticker. Appreciate you so much with the crackling and waving giant thing that looks like a pear. Appreciate it. Brandon, member for 10 months, says based. YouTube is being just like PETA. Shock. Either case hashtag Duck Fisney. And yeah, they're going to be able to pay for this, right?
Yes. They will be able to pay for this because that's the big secret here that they're trying to hide out in front.
Yeah. Rose D for $1. Appreciate you there. And then Brandon for $5. Test. Yes, you're indeed testing. You're very much solid, Brandon, and very much appreciated. All your support's appreciated. Lets me do this on a regular basis, even when it's 3:16 a.m. in Asia. All right. So here's the operating margin. Okay. I mean, is this supposed to be impressive, Jonas? Like, am I supposed to be impressed by this?
No, but it also speaks to the fact that they're spending about the same amount of money and they are, relatively speaking, they're making about the same amount for the money that they're spending.
Right. So congrats for towing the line, maybe. Right. And once again, this is in their parks experience and product segment. So we don't know how they've divided out the assets and liabilities between these two segments and how they're presenting this information. Is this just present case information? Have they shifted certain liabilities off the books? What's going on here, right? We do not know. Okay, here we go. Now we start to get the interesting ones. Okay, so strong results from investments. I could not keep myself together on this. Okay, so you've got back in FY03, you've got Mission Space, Tower of Terror, Soaring, Everest, Toy Story, Little Mermaid, Cars, New Fantasyland, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. You see Guardian of the Galaxy and Pandora, then Galaxy's Edge, and then a huge dip, and then we're back with Tron, Runaway Railway, Cosmic Guardians of the Galaxy, Cosmic Rewinds. Yeah, I don't know if these are that attributable to the investments in the parks. Yeah. I'm not sure. I'm not sure at all. I'm not sure these things are tracking, right? Because you can even see if you look at them closely, if you look at this closely, like when Toy Story came in, it's like, well, there was a dip there, right? I mean, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. Look, I mean, I think it's an okay ride. It's not great. It's not bad, but I certainly don't think these increases are due to the micro effects or the micro changes to the parks. I think there's more things going on in the macro, right? In the macroeconomic sense that are causing these increases, or rather these effects in operating income.
The question that I would have at this point is, what is the effect of a park ticket in general on this, as opposed to the individual things that you're getting into? I've never been to Pandora. I've been to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. I've been to Toy Story Land. I would say
you've never been to Pandora ever, like
no,
not at all.
No, I'm a Floridian, so I've been to Animal Kingdom several times. It is very, very hot.
Yes,
and generally speaking, I'm not that impressed with it. So now that I visit Florida, I'm trying to maximize it, and plus I've got a bunch of kids, so Magic Kingdom and Hollywood Studios is where it's at there. We did go to Epcot, and I saw all of the walls, but we didn't.
Yes.
Yeah, we didn't get a chance to go back to Animal Kingdom. As awesome as Kilimanjaro Safari is, and as amazing as I hear that Pandora is, I'm not going to pay $180 per person for those two things just yet, because really that's what it is. It's the price increase at the parks. The absolute question here is Disney. Do they need to make this investment in order to keep people coming into the parks, or do they just need to fix some problems?
Yes, and that is a great question, because frankly, like for example, as Steve says, if they just planted some more trees and or some shaded areas at Animal Kingdom, that would go a lot further than building an entire new land, right? They don't need to go out there and build an entire land. They just need to make improvements, right? And by the way, Animal Kingdom, my sort of cycle there was to go to Kilimanjaro, Everest, and then when Pandora was there, okay, maybe if the Avatar ride was short, but it almost never was. So I would just do Expedition Everest when I had an annual pass when I was working around there. I would go to Kilimanjaro, the safari, and then Expedition Everest, and then I'd get out of the park because it was hot, it was busy.
There's not much else there.
Yeah, it's kind of boring. So I just get out of the park. I mean, it's one of those that if you can do it in the morning or something and knock it out, and then go to then just kind of chill at Epcot, that's kind of a good duo there, right? Just okay, you do everything you want, and then just Epcot, you're just walking around, drinking around the world, that sort of thing. That was like the typical, if I was doing Animal Kingdom, the thing I would do. But obviously with kids, that sort of thing is off the it's really off the table. You can't do that.
There's no chilling at a Disney park anymore.
Yeah.
Unless you have passes, and if you're not paying per day, then it's a whole different experience.
Okay, so here we go. Tremendous per capita guest spending growth. Okay, once again, can we get more disingenuous? Okay, so FY 2019, then you've got some growth to FY 2022 with per capita spending. So earlier I played this TikTok video, and this goes back to the one I played right in the beginning. And if you guys want to go check that out, rewind and go right to the beginning, you'll see that there was this guy from Paris, and he had this TikTok video which just went viral on how he spent $1,200 US on park tickets for his family, and then on top of that ended up spending another couple $100 for the express passes, which doesn't include food, which is running several hundred a day, and then souvenirs, which can get in the hundreds as well. So you're looking at trips that are clocking out at several $1,000s for a family. Jonas, I know that you have a fairly large family. You've been quite fruitful. So I mean, you can put the costs at. I mean, I think saying that if you're doing a weekend at Disney in Florida and Disney World in Florida, you're staying in a hotel, I think $3,000, $4,000 might not be unreasonable for the total cost all in for your vacation. For
right, it would be
a couple
unreasonable
days.
for me personally, but
No,
that
as
is
an
that
estimate,
is a
right?
yeah, as a market rate for that. Yes, I would say about $3,000. That being said, you don't have to spend that much money to have a good time in that area. I dropped some jaws the other day when I told people that you can go to Universal Studios if you get the right deal. You can go to Universal Studios for 5 days for $250 per person for the entire week. So this is why I'm loving Universal right now, is because it's low stress. Sorry,
Yes,
that's
There's
me. That's me being a cheap
nothing
dad.
to worry about. Yeah. No, yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, if there's any other place to go, you're going to go that you can go for cheaper, and it's honestly not the best. It's not the best option. It's not the best option in Orlando by far, right? There's many other options. I don't even give a shout out to SeaWorld. I know that this, but like even SeaWorld has stepped up their game,
Yeah,
right? Comparatively to Disney.
Busch Gardens as well.
And they're right there. Yeah, Busch Gardens is a farther drive, right? So I can see somebody saying, okay, I'm in Orlando, right? I want to go somewhere else. Well, instead of spending maybe all those days at Disney, you lop off a couple of those, you end up at SeaWorld, Universal Studios. Shit, the Holy Land experience is looking good compared to this. Or Fun Spot. Actually, seriously though, check out Fun Spot. Check out a lot of those, attractions that are just there, like those rides. This might be fun for your family. Might have a better time at International Drive than in Disney.
So on this,
I like this, Steve here. Worst hamburger I ever had was a sci-fi drive-in in the theater at Hollywood Studios. Cheap meat, raw, served in darkness, puke. There's a reason why that is a dark restaurant. We'll just put it that way. There's a reason why it's a dark restaurant. Oh man, that's funny. Yeah, or you can crash at Gosney's place. That is true. It is a big cost reduction to crash at Steve Gosney's place,
whether or not he's there.
Yes. But yeah, okay. So the per capita is up. All right. This one got me dying here. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, sorry. Okay, sustained IP investments. Cars, Toy Story, Frozen, Star Wars, Avatar, Mickey Mouse, Avengers, Guardian of the Galaxy, and Tron. Okay. So they're trying to say they've had a massive uptick in income, in operating income and return on operating income from these properties. Once again, I think this is a false association.
Yes.
And I think trying to say that's like, to me, trying to argue in any world that Star Wars Galaxy's Edge has been profitable for you is like Pinocchio level lying here. Like, it's pants on fire bullshit to think that Toy Story or Cars or Avatar or whatever else was solely the issue. Now, I will say, when there's a new land, there is a temporary bump in visitors who want to come back and check out that land. But in terms of sustained growth, I just don't see that as a huge thing, particularly with any of these lands or any of these things that are mentioned here.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that dedicating an entire, except for Avatar, because Avatar, you kind of have to do the whole land. I don't think dedicating an entire land to a franchise is a great idea. Toy Story Land, it gets very strained. I mean, Slinky Dog Dash, okay, yes, that's a great ride. But outside of that, you could theme those to almost anything, or you could do multiple IPs in the same space. Not the same ride, but in close proximity to each other. I guess they're talking about Mickey's Runaway Railway with Mickey Mouse.
I guess. But you're mentioning a good theme here, though, Jonas, which is that it seems like these guys are lauding the lands for maybe one or two successful rides. But to me, what always has stuck out to me in the Disneylands is they'll have one ride that's like super high volume, and then two or three others that like kind of nobody cares about. Or they'll have, let's say 2 rides and a show, and like no one cares about the show, or no one cares about the other extraneous stuff. They'll just come for one thing, like you said, Slinky Dog Dash, and then just bounce out of Toy Story World. That's the only reason why they're in Toy Story World, and boop, they're gone.
Yeah.
I feel like that's not as successful or as profitable as it could be. To me, every ride should be a must ride, when you go to like a land or when you go to a theme park. You should want to go on all of them, which is what I think Magic Kingdom used to be, which is, hey, you go there and you try to hit all the rides, or at least all the major rides, in Magic Kingdom, right? You're not just selectively picking and choosing.
And if I can complain about this IP strategy, Pirates of the Caribbean, Haunted Mansion, Figment, all of those things, they will not exist under the current model. If they were coming up with this today, they would launch a movie franchise that maybe we like it, maybe we don't, but they're going to do the ride based off the movie franchise before they would come up with something interesting and new, like Orange Bird or I don't know, just any Country Bear Jamboree. I mean,
they're actually, that one, I don't know if you've heard, they are updating Country Bear Jamboree, but they're going to be playing more Disney IP songs.
Yes.
So the Country Bears are not going to have their kind of original stuff. I mean, they're going to be singing, for all we know, Under the Sea, or whatever else, like Magic Carpet Ride stuff. I mean, we're going to be hearing about stuff that's going to be completely, I don't want to say anachronistic, but it's going to be kind of feel wrong. It's not going to have that Country Bear folksy vibe.
Yeah, who's not just chomping at the bit to hear Big Al sing Scuttlebutt?
That's exactly right. No, seriously though, I will not be surprised if we got Scuttlebutt up in that. It'll be absolutely a travesty. And look, the people that love Country Bears really love Country Bears. The people that want to go to it a lot. And you're going to drive away that core audience, which is pretty much the only audience, the main audience. Easy007 says Disney is in the business of selling fantasy, so nothing new here. Fantasy numbers. Yeah, well, there's a point at which it becomes a little problematic. And Jonas, I know you got to go shortly, so I'm gonna pop through a couple more of these before you get out of here. Turbocharging Disney parks experiences and products. So they're doubling CapEx in the next 10 years versus prior 10. Okay.
I see it now.
This is completely non-specific. They're giving no numbers. They're not saying what exactly they're doing, where they're doing it. They're not really committing to do it. This is an Amber Heard type pledge right here. And they're just putting these generic statements: accelerate storytelling, expand footprint, advance commercial, leverage talent with one white guy and one ambiguous racial guy. We don't know, whatever. And reach new fans. That's what we got.
Accelerate storytelling means nothing.
I don't know what that means. What does accelerate storytelling means?
Is that when I go on YouTube and I listen to something at 2x speed?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's like when I go lately, I've been watching those like recap videos. Like I like those a lot with the movie recaps or the anime recaps because I don't have time to watch the whole thing. So it's just like, all right, let me play this one. I feel like that's what they're talking about, but that doesn't work at a park. What are they just going to summarize the story? They're like, all right, there's a princess. She's a girl boss. She wins. Yay. Right over 15 seconds.
Let me going? This $60 billion figure that they're throwing out there. I guess that's the versus prior 10 years that they're talking about. They're talking about $60 billion over 10 years. Okay, let's just do the quick math there. Divide that by 10. Yes. So we're talking about $6 billion a year. How many parks do they actually own? That is 10 parks. So 600 million per park. That is not much. Also, they are at least 5 billion of that is going towards cruise ships. So already whittling it down. We're about 550 per park right there.
Yeah, because by the way, this is parks, experiences, and products, which includes cruise ships, and CapEx includes buying boats, and boats are expensive. And by the way, they do earmark the fact that boats are one of the things a little bit later. So just that's out there. But yeah, okay. So take off the boats, right? And you probably shear off. Yeah, you probably shear it down to, like I said, 500 million a park or less. And we all know that's not equal, right? We all know that that's not going to come out equally. Some parks are going to get a lot more than others, and certainly some parks really don't have room to expand,
right?
Or really can't expand. So there's not gonna be much.
You would know this better than most. Do you remember what Bob Iger said about Florida investments when DeSantis finally got rid of Reedy Creek? Do you remember how much he said he was going to invest over the next 10 years in Florida alone?
I believe he claimed about 10 or 20 billion.
17 billion.
Yeah, somewhere between there. Yeah.
Over 10 years. Okay. Again, dividing that up by 10, 1.7, dividing that up by 4, 425 million per park. So when he says he's doubling, yeah, that's some fugazi right there.
Yeah, because he's already said he's going to spend it. It's actually, if you really think about it, having what he said he was going to spend. So it's actually cutting down on a previous promise, which is, par for the course with Disney. So, and I'll let you go on this one, but this one is the last one I want to get to before you've got to bounce here, Jonas, which is the 100K acres of land for possible future development. Okay, so just looking at this, so we have obviously the Disney Cruise Lines. It's not really the acres of land, although I guess they have certain islands, right, that they're developing. So maybe a couple of acres of islands.
Yep. They did just buy a new island. Good for them.
Right. Yeah. Good for them. They're going to get to name that. Not a lot of space to develop in the Asian theaters, right? A little bit more in Shanghai. Definitely Hong Kong is maxed out. Tokyo is pretty maxed out. I'm not sure about the footprint of Disneyland Paris and how much room they've got there, but the bulk of this 1K acres, by far, the lion's share of developable land is right here in Walt Disney World, Florida.
Absolutely.
So that to me is it. Plus, maybe if you want to throw in some DVC properties, some DVC land.
That is in fact, I think that's where most of this capital expenditure is going to. They want to go for the areas where they make the most money on the least amount of real estate. And that's going to be these giant timeshare facilities that they put up at their parks where they are I'm not sure what legal. It's a bunch of baloney.
I'll say it because as I've known, this is one of the industries I worked in, right? And I know a lot about that. In fact, I know people that work for DVC, and I may or may not talk to them on a regular basis. And I can say this because I knew I was part of compliance, so I know exactly what you can and can't say. First of all, you can't actually call. It's really funny. You cannot call a timeshare a financial investment. So when they're selling you timeshares, they're not allowed to call it an investment because they can't actually prove it's going to appreciate. They can't actually prove it's an asset that's going to appreciate in value, right? And it's obviously restricted on resale. It's obvious, or there's limitations on resale. It's not like a normal piece of property, right? What you can say is they are incredibly expensive and they are insanely profitable. I cannot stress this enough. Timeshares are insanely profitable for every single timeshare company, which is why all the big brands, Hilton, Hyatt, Marriott, all of them, they're all into timeshares, all of them, because you get it coming and going. You get them to buy in points in an already inflated price. They're paying way more than they would pay if they just bought it themselves, right? But beyond that, you're paying them for maintenance, so they control the maintenance as well. So you're paying them for maintenance and for buying it. So they're getting you on all sides there. And then, of course, you've got limitations on transferability, on use of points. If you don't use the points, they expire. You're never using them to maximum efficiency, right? There's always some sort of thing that comes up. So, yeah, vacation rentals are extremely, in the modern era, the way the modern vacation rental works, they're extremely profitable, right? Now, some people may say, I like it. It's worth it for me because I love Disney and I want to go to Disney every year and I feel like it's a savings for me to go to Disney. Okay, cool. But I actually have an old episode, an old video I did on DVC. Go check that out because the math doesn't work out anymore. It doesn't work out with 2023 numbers. In order for this to be affordable for you, you've got to do some crazy math. You've got to do some crazy justification for purchasing a property. Specifically, when you think you can just purchase right outside of Disney for so much cheaper,
right,
and save so much more money.
To just have a literal property outside of Disney and then put that money towards actual park admission would be a much more cost-effective way of doing. And hey, you could even rent that thing out part of the year if you got industrious.
That's what I'm saying. You can rent it out. You got rental income, right? You have people that will manage these for you. You can have people that know. I know folks that do this as their thing. They just manage the properties, and you're getting rental income. And then when you want to use it for a month or a year or 2 weeks, whatever, you go and use it. Saves you a bunch of money that you cannot do with DVC. But yeah, that's perhaps another debate for another day. Brandon Lesko says, I wish they didn't have to pull this BS. I may have had a couple turkey legs and drank my way half around the world and gotten hibachi a few times. No mas. Honestly, this was my favorite thing to do. I literally would just go various directions. I may or may not have, flirted with girls in different languages. It's just that happens, ended up at hibachi where I'm like drunkenly like talking to families. I'm like there by myself and they're all looking at me weird. And I'm like having another bottle of sake or whatever at the table, where the guy's got 3 screaming kids and they'll always look over to me. They're like, at least you're having a good time. I'm like, you're damn right. I love hibachi. No more hibachi bucks for them. No more hibachi bucks for them. Not K says, where would they have to expand since most of the land is conservation at Disney World? I can open a GIS map and can't spot anywhere under the WDW Disney acreage and conservation land. They would rather build more DVC. They would have to have mitigation offsets. So if they built an entire park, they're going to have mitigation offsets. So they're going to have to buy conservation credits or they're going to have to buy conservation land elsewhere in Florida. So yeah, they're going to have to offset if they decide to build in Disney World. But part of that is if they want to build in Disney World, they need development credits. You know who owns those? Well, they're fighting over that right now. So those development credits to build a new theme park to expand are what they're fighting over, but they should be owned and controlled by the district. Formerly Reedy Creek, now the CFTOD. That's how Florida law works. That's how I believe it will shake out. And I'm betting and putting all my bank on it's going to turn out the CFTOD wins that battle. If they don't, it's going to be a massive change in the state of Florida. Last disaster. Disaster. Natasha says, in a day, a camelback full of vodka, but I did that at the OG in Anaheim?
Anaheim?
Anaheim? Oh, Anaslime. I get it. Anaslime. Got it. Yes. Okay. Well, I cannot suggest that you do the camelback full of vodka, but I can also not say that I haven't done that at Universal on several occasions. So yeah. Cheers to you on that. Jonas, I know you got to run. So obviously you got a video coming out on this. Anything else you want people to know about or any other information you want to plug?
No, we got a new channel, That Park Place, where we go through all the news that should be fun. It's like 5 or 6 stories all in very quick succession. We're going to go more on the park side of things on that, covering entertainment, streaming, and also it looks like we're going to be covering video games too, because we want something good to cover that's positive.
Nice. And there are a lot of good video games. Yes,
absolutely. Well, thank you very much for having me on, Andrew. Always a pleasure. And thank you for always talking about my favorite subjects.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime. And glad to have you on whenever you pop in the chat. I always slide in your DMs. But
awesome. Well, I won't tell the wife. Talk to you later.
Oh, yeah. Good to see you over there. Brandon asks, what are the crazy streets in downtown Orlando? There's 2, Wall Street and then Orange Ave. So you're going to go on like Orange Avenue and Wall Street. Those are the crazy ones, especially Wall Street. That's where the crazy UCF kids are partying downtown. All right. So let's continue here. So obviously most of this land is in Walt Disney World. So once again, this has everything to do with the litigation, which is ongoing right now in Florida. So this is intimately tied together there in Florida. All right. Continuing. 700+ million addressable market. For every 1 park guest today, there are 10+ consumers with Disney affinity. First of all, what does Disney affinity mean? What the hell does that mean? And look what they're banking on. They're not banking on America, really. They've maxed out that market. Look at little Australia. Australia is such a little beta sphere over here. In South America, kind of a little small there. But Asia is really what they're banking on. They are banking on Asia. What they're hoping on, and I'm going to tell you what they're doing here as a man in Asia, as your man in, well, I'll be in Japan next month. But as your man in Asia, a lot of people do love Disney over here. And a lot of people, they like Disney, but they like classic Disney. They don't like woke Disney. They don't like new Disney. And they don't like this new bullshit. So a lot of the new stuff they're pulling out is not going to go over as well. Furthermore, they get a bigger cut of these profits. So as much as big as this circle may be, you got to cut this in half. And the other thing too is most people don't want to travel to the CCP to go to a theme park. That's going to be great for your Chinese market, I guess. But most people are not going to travel there. People in Southeast Asia are not going to go there. They'd rather go to Japan, right? They're not happy to go over there. So them trying to really cater to the Asian market, I think, especially by going into China, I think that's a misstep. I think that's a big misstep. There's a lot of other places you could put a park in Asia that would work a lot better. But they chose to go with the CCP. Once again, their choice. They made these choices. Disney Cruise Line. Okay. So they're saying they're going to put all this money into new ships. Well, we talked about this. All this capital investment is going to go into these new ships. So they've doubled their fleet capacity because they added 4 more ships. They started with 2. They added 4. It's a good market, but we know about cruise lines. The thing we know now is they can be shut down super easily. So all it takes is one little bump, one little hurricane, one little event, and you've got massive issues for your cruise industry. But they are planning to relocate some of these to Asia. So some of these are coming to Asia. They're specifically for Asia. They're not for the Caribbean. So once again, expect them not to be catering to America. And yes, guys, building physical assets in China is insane. And that's why Disney is doing it, because they are freaking nuts. Okay. So now they're talking about the occupancy for the cruise lines. Now, what I got to point here is I don't doubt these are true. However, this is coming off of COVID. There is a huge pent-up demand for cruising amongst cruise people. I know guys know a cruise person. Maybe it's your aunt, maybe it's your grandma, maybe it's your sister, whatever else. You guys know cruise people. Cruise people are cruise people. They're like cat people, they one is not enough. They got to have 16. They got to feed the neighborhood. These cruise people are in, and they were really pent up and a lot of pent up demand. So this is them going out and booking out these cruises after they weren't allowed to cruise for years. Ben Turkoff says, like furries. Yeah, totally like furries. Totally like furries. Just the same. Popcorn Power says, cruises suck. It's like you're locked in a hotel for an entire week and cannot leave. I am not a huge fan of cruises unless they are free or heavily discounted. And oftentimes, I always want to go on a cruise. What I want to really do on a cruise is go on the cruise and then just get off at a random place and just stay there and not get back on. Just be like, you know what? I'm getting off and just not getting back on. I think that'd be kind of fun. But yeah, being stuck on the boat the entire time, it's boring. Your options are limited. You're stuck in their market, spending their money on their boat. It's literally prison. Now, DVC, this is timeshare. Okay. So this is what I want you to pay attention to here. This is how they're telling you it's a ripoff, or rather, they're telling you that it makes them a bunch of money and you lose money when you invest. Is look at this. Look at what they're saying about DVC. They get a double-digit return on investment. They have huge margins. And by the way, I believe all of this, which is why instead of building hotels, they're building DVC. So if you look at what they're building in Disney World around the world, they're building DVC. They're not going to build hotels anymore. Hotels don't make the money. It's cheaper. It's denser. They make far more on DVC. So they're trying to open up 1,000 new rooms. That's keys. And of course, these 1,000 keys, instead of just being rented as one room to one person, they can rent these out to multiple people. and they flip hotels, existing hotels with excess capacity into DVC because it makes more money. So they're really trying to milk DVC for everything it's worth. They're trying to milk timeshare for everything it's worth. This is what I say to people, this is why would be on the lookout with DVC. So look at this. This is obviously DVC. They're building cabins at Fort Wilderness, right? They're building Polynesian villas, not as hotels, but once again, DVC. They're going to charge you an arm and a leg for this. And by the way, your maintenance fees at the Polynesian villas, those are going to pay all of this. All of this will be maintained by your maintenance fee. Do you see why it's more efficient than a hotel? Because they can just bake in all this landscaping and maintenance, which is something which isn't as predictable. The cost is much harder to control for with hotels. Then opening, what is this? The villas at Disneyland. And international parks where they're putting all of their money. They've had 1.3 billion international attendance. Okay. A lot of that is China. Last time I checked, a lot of people in China. A lot of people in China. The international parks strongly recovered. Well, you know why they were down here? Because China, right? Because China wasn't even open. So a lot of this is their failure to open. But I don't know how you can say strong recovery when you're still in the negative here. Don't really know. Don't really know how you can do that. But all right. But all right. Okay, per capita guest spending up 69% from 2018. There's been a little bit of inflation since then. Can a brother get some inflation on those Mickey ears? Those mini ears used to be like $5. Those mini ears will cost you 50. Especially if you're getting the rose gold specialty brand. JL says Iger gonna get his Chinese citizenship after that. He's got an honorary chairmanship over there. He is an honorary commissar in the CCP. He's going to be leading that charge to Taiwan. Okay, some merchandise that means to sell, which, by the way, isn't it sad that they're advertising that their top-selling merchandise, is something that really isn't branded to their headline IP? Their top-selling merchandise isn't Avengers, Marvel, Baby Yoda, something else. It's not the main key branded marquee IP. Very, very interesting there. Then Shanghai saying there's an attendance rebound. Well, no shit, they were closed, obviously. Highest year-to-year growth. Well, there's a lot of growth when it's going from zero. It's going up there. And also when you've had a lot of inflation and a lot of general ups in the Chinese market. Once again, they're pent-up demand. They've been cooped inside. They were literally in Shanghai, locked in their apartments. So, yeah, they're going to be happy to get out and do stuff this year. It's not just like COVID is not predictable of a normal year. The year after COVID is not predictable of a normal year because it's pent-up demand. Let's wait a little bit. Let's wait 2-3 years and see where we're at. So, saying there's some growth rate in Disneyland Paris. Okay, once again, same thing, pent-up demand. Record per capita spending. Well, if you up the charges for everything, if you make everything more expensive, like that dad just spoke about, $1,200 for 4 tickets, then of course you're going to make more. And they're even telling you right now that they're not discounting tickets anymore. They're giving it away. They're saying, hey, there's a significant reduction in discounted tickets before COVID today. So they're no longer discounting tickets. Although it's funny, they're discounting tickets in Florida because, well, you need to get people in. And that's the 8K. So, guys, that was what their SEC filing. So that seems like that was some puff piece. No, that was their literal SEC filing their Form 8K. This is the huge thing out there for Disney's growth. That's it. That's what's supposed to save Disney. And they're wondering why the stock isn't just booming, why it's still dropping. Right now, we're at 81.95, down 3.61%. They're wondering why that's happening. It's because people are seeing through it. They know it's BS. They know it's crap. And, they're seeing through it. They're 100% seeing through it. Let's see here. Rose D, thank you so much for contributing 5 Legal Mindset memberships. Appreciate you there. Let me throw you up here in the chat. Always appreciate that, guys. Make sure you have accept gift memberships turned on so you can be a recipient of that. Also, guys, I will be having a lot of members-only streams, a lot of members-only content, so make sure you stay tuned to that. Try to do it once a month. Do a members-only stream. It's just literally for you guys. So that one will be coming up in the coming week or two. Probably next week, I'm probably going to do the members-only stream. So if you guys are members at any level, you'll have access to the members-only stream next week. So make sure you get that gift while you're getting that grift. So one thing I want to bring up here, and I want to mention this again. So once again, shout out to Not K for this, but this is the schedule. So a little bit of update on the lawsuit, which plays directly in here. The federal lawsuit now has an update. So if you recall, the Disney side amended the federal complaint to remove all of their charges, all of their claims, except for their really crazy First Amendment claim against Ron DeSantis specifically. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to literally invalidate the law that got rid of Reedy Creek and established CFTOD because Ron DeSantis said something mean about Disney. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. So that claim will be thrown out. But here's the timeline for that. And why is that important? Because this news is going to absolutely drop in the mainstream media and everyone's going to be like, oh my God, I'm so surprised. I'm so surprised this happened. And I'm just going to be dropping the mic with I told you so's. I'm going to take like a full week of I told you so's. It's going to be glorious. I'm just going to be dancing on people's sadness. But we're going to see a response here. We're going to see everything concluded by October 30th. And so we should see within a short period of October 30th, we should see a ruling. So we should see a potential dismissal of the federal case. Now, there will still be the state case, but mind you, that one is pending a summary judgment motion. So in that case, we have potential summary judgment coming up in the next month or two. So we have some big potential Disney L's on the radar, which I, of course, will stay tuned in on. And of course, guys, I stay tuned in on anything that I think is topical, anything I think is important. I decided to cover the Russell Brand stuff because I saw a lot of bad takes on that. But of course, as anything comes up that is pertinent, that is interesting, that you guys like, you can always let me know in the comments below. You can let me know in Twitter. You can let me know on Locals. You can let me know on Rumble, and I will be here to cover it. Guys, it is 4 o'clock in the morning. So I am going to be winding this down. But before I do that, Maria Vargas says, when is the next anime stream, YouTuber Locals? Let me give you the hint. So I'm going to do another YouTube stream on anime, like one talking about anime, probably next month. We'll do it next month. But what I'm going to do from now on is on Locals, every Wednesday, we're going to have a Weeb Wednesday. So if you go over to my legalmindset.locals.com, Wednesday nights, late Wednesday night Eastern time, right? Not Asia time, Eastern time. So it's Thursday morning in Asia, Wednesday night over there. We are going to be doing a anime stream on Locals. So if you go over and you are subscribed to my locals, you're going to have to be a subscriber, not a paid subscriber, not just a free subscriber, but you'll be able to join in and watch the anime streams with all of us there and join in and have some fun. So if you want to do that, you can go over and jump over that. If you want to just talk anime, we'll have another stream over here on YouTube, probably once a month, because honestly, anime has been such a white pill. It's been such a positive thing for the channel. And it's been great to talk about positive things, talk about good culture, good shows, rather than just constant negativity, which I think is something that we can all get kind of sick of. So me, I'm going to go to sleep. It is 4 a.m. I'm going to go to sleep for 5 hours, or actually no, 3.5, 4 hours, whatever. Wake up and I'll be on Bangkok Bros at 10 a.m., guys. So appreciate y'all. Thank you so much for joining, and I will catch you later.